working. You say, oh, well, okay, this guy is kind of a problem, and this person constantly says this. That's your impression. We do this, we've got numerical data tested, you know, by validity and reliability that verifies that this exists. So it's a tool that you can use. All right, I'm not going to go through a lot more of this. Any questions on this, though? It's a nice thing. You can download. If you go to the Simlog site, you know, they have a lot of information there. If you can talk your company into sending you for the training, you know, it's a good thing to do. It's a very useful analytic tool. I mean, you end up doing this in your mind without all the stuff sometimes.
Does it make room for the wild card person who hates somebody because they went out with their ex-girlfriend, or you know what I mean, like that odd?
Well, they would probably show up as unfriendly and uncooperative in people's minds. You know, and the consultant would say to that person, you know, here's the results. You show up as an unfriendly and uncooperative person in this group. And the person is likely to say, holy mackerel, I thought I get along fine with everybody. You know, and that's my perception of myself. But I say, well, that's fine. That's your perception of yourself. But their perceptions function as the reality of the organization. And so you're going to need to reduce your unfriendly and uncooperative behavior somehow. How do you think we could do that? Let's write down 3 ways you think you can do that. All right? So next 3 months, we want you to practice these, and then we're going to retest the group. And if you don't change, we're going to fire you. You know, no, but you know, something will happen there.
If we like do a modified version of this, can we do that for our, you know, our project that we have with the organization? Is that like more?
You could. I mean, you'd have to really be swimming fast to catch up to this and use it. But yeah, you could.
Because like I've been working on mine, and like I've been going through all these theories, and that's exactly the.
Yeah, Simlog's a nice theory. All of my work, my materials are down in Dr. Lamiziano's office right now. She wanted to look at the stuff. So if you go, tell her you want to look at the textbooks and the stuff. All of it's there, the questions and everything. You could try to do something with it. Yeah. Again, this is, for me, this is like systems theory. This is just useful. I can apply it. It works. It's very good. Okay. So let's do our papers. Melissa, you want to come first with your cybernetic paper? And then Andrew, you're going to come with, and I will give you the golden blue light of Kmart here. Melissa has experience with this from systems. We taped the final presentation.
Okay, my article that I felt focused on the cybernetics theory was grounded on the learning organization, which we talked about briefly last week, and the concept of organizational culture. And it was, the article focused on a study. So in the literature review, the authors outlined Sengi's 5 disciplines of learning organizations, which I have listed on the handout for you, and discussed how learning employees who continue to learn contribute to the growth of the organization, and that's why learning organizations can be successful and why they're important. And then based on the learning organization, or adopting the learning organization mentality, the article focused on how organizational culture is a product of the learning organization and how that affects job satisfaction, which I thought really related to cybernetics, because it's kind of a system of all of these things that will, in the end, relate to job satisfaction and employees being retained in the organization. So in the literature review, they talked about 2 different types of leadership: transactional leadership, which encourages subordinates by affirming and rewarding their efforts, and transformational leadership, which inspires employees to reach organizational goals. And that later relates to the study that they conducted, which basically they distributed questionnaires to 1,000 different companies. They received 150 questionnaires back. And basically what they were looking to do was to learn more about the learning organization and how that was affected by the leadership, and also to explore how job satisfaction was affected by the organizational culture of the learning organization. And they identified 4 different types of organizational cultures that they evaluated based on these questionnaires. So basically the results from the study revealed that leadership has a significantly positive effect on employees' job satisfaction. And they talked about the transformational leadership style and how that created more willingness on the part of the employees to establish a shared vision, which therefore increases their job satisfaction and meets the goals of the learning organization. They also found that organizational culture has a significantly positive effect on employees' job satisfaction. And they found that the operation of the learning organization has a significantly positive effect on the employees' job satisfaction. So basically that the leadership behaviors and the organizational culture cause an effect on the operation of the learning organization. So I found this very interesting because for my final paper I'm looking to learn more about organizational culture. And so I found that these results were interesting, that the organizational culture really has so much to do with the job satisfaction. And if you're looking to establish a learning organization, that this is a good way to go, something to look into in terms of making sure that employees are happy and that you can retain them in the company.
Makes a good connection because a lot of the learning organization literature doesn't connect directly to the comm studies. So this makes a good, strong connection. Yeah, good. Okay, thanks. Any questions?
Well, how do you define a learning organization? Again.
Well, it's kind of grounded on these 5 disciplines that Sanghi has, that if you build shared vision in the corporation and you have these mental models that are established of how to operate, that employees will be learning more and that they'll be more invested in the organization and contributing to the growth of the organization. Is that a good way to sum it up without saying, look at all of our presentations from last last semester?
1E is the 5. Peter Senge wrote a book called The 5th Discipline. Mm-hmm. And it's really not about the 5th discipline. It's about 5
of them
for creating an organization that is able to adapt as it faces challenges. And he said there's got to be 5 things going on. Teams have to learn together. You've got to have people who are seeking to improve themselves. You got to surface your mental models. You have to build shared vision, and you have to think systemically about things instead of linearly about things. So that's a recommendation for a type of culture you want to create in an organization.
That you're not stagnant and that you can adapt to problems that happen.
Right. So it loses the rigidity of doing what we always did and asking, are we getting the results we want? If not, how are we going to get the results we want?
And then certain leverage points that you would use to cause change when there are problems.
The leverage point might be distant from the thing you want to affect, but systemically, if you push here, that'll move sooner or later.
You just mentioned that culture has a positive effect on employee satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like culture, you mean what exactly?
Well, the organizational culture, I think, relates to basically the vision of the company, or without using another word, culture of how the organization wants to operate. Like last semester, I was looking into my company, which is a small company, and the effects of not having enough staff and how that related to our productivity. And basically what I've come to realize is that it's the organizational culture to kind of keep pushing to make more money. Even if you have more staff, that means you should produce more. And that seems to be what's the organizational culture of my company, is that, you know, having more people means you should be able to produce more. And so I think it varies based on the company and what they value as being the most important to the, I don't know if you want to say to the success of the company, but I mean, this is a topic that I'm researching more, so you know, I don't know that I can explain beyond that.
And that pile is your
oh, that's
okay. You can take that.
Thanks.
That is the SAGE book on organizational culture and climate. So I guess you could call it the sociology of organization, if you want to, you know, put it in other language. What are the patterns, the rituals, the beliefs, attitudes, and values that govern the life of an organization? All right, so thank you. Andrew, you want to do your article?
Okay, I'll try to keep this short and sweet. It's getting late. Attention span is only about 3 minutes. And for my classmates in intro, they're probably sick of hearing me talk, as I gave several presentations yesterday. So, go. This article I did was pretty straightforward to what the paper reads. I hope it's socio-psychological. After hearing Melissa, it could be cybernetic. It may be phenomenological.
No, it's,
but,
it's self-competency.
So that's
socio-psychological.
Awesome. Fantastic. So in the one study that they focused on, they surveyed 225 workers in the U.S. Air Force, and they were asked survey questions, as you can see, which they then answered on a scale of 1 to 7, if they strongly agreed or disagreed. And then they were to compare their own skills to others, and if it's almost pretty obvious, I think that there's a duh factor, where if you feel that you're going to do a good job, it led to a good job. If you felt that you were lacking, if your skills weren't up to snuff, then your job performance also followed. And that was demonstrated in the second survey that was given to the U.S. Air Force workers. If they, in the first survey, thought that they were doing a good job, when they were surveyed later on, the results showed that. If they felt as if they were not doing a good job, then their second survey, the results showed the same thing. Then in the other study that was performed, it was administered in the same fashion, except this was given 3 times over the span of 14 months instead of twice. And again, those that were confident in their abilities progressed throughout the 3 studies, while those that didn't feel as comfortable with their skills almost degressed throughout the study. So that was about 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
Did they use the word self-efficacy?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Okay, you would have noticed it. I'm surprised I don't see the word, because that's normally the word that's used. If I have efficacy, a group has, we believe that we can do the job. We believe that we can succeed. So I'm surprised that they call it self-competency here, but
yes, I don't believe they did that. The only thing I didn't totally agree with was they didn't say how long the people were at their job. And I mention that because sometimes starting a new job, you may feel a little overwhelmed. And it may take a while to get situated with with everything.
Right, so you're saying they should have factored in another variable.
I think so, because if this was all done with people that have been working for 5 years at the same job, I think that the results might have been different than people who were new to their jobs.
Right. Yeah, this is very much a socio-psychological paper. It's got variables defined, it's got individual qualities considered, it's got quantitative research supporting it. It's qualified.
Great. Are there any problems with the citation?
Yeah, it's like so nervous.
Yeah, it's lovely to care.
Right? Me, good job. I don't know this acronym though. What does DUH stand for?
Oh no, that was just a dove factor. It was self-explanatory.
Yeah, but of course, you know, the answer to the Duff factor would be that sometimes research shows you that things you expect to be true are not true. So that's part of what you study in methodologies. All right, so we are, it's November 6th. Hopefully you've got, does everybody have a place you're going to do a project?
So, yeah.
Get a place soon. Get a place to do your consulting, your little consulting work there. Find a communication problem, find a theory that'll address it, and then offer something to the people. It may not be a lecture on the theory, but it will be, we understand from communication studies that these things are true, so therefore we recommend that you do these things.
And should that be in the form of a meeting, or should that be in the form of a paper submitted to the...
No, it should be in the form of a presentation that you would do perhaps for an individual or a small group of people, or to a whole corporate sales force. You know, I don't know, whatever the need is, that you would present it there, get written feedback, signed off, and then you come here and we see the presentation as well. We hear the context, we pretend we're the audience, and then we discuss what theories and how you use the theories in it.
How's the feedback generated? Is there a format? Like?
No, I didn't have a format, so just let them write up stuff, yeah.
Can we do this with another person or individual? Or?
I was hoping you would do it with some sort of organization.
No, I mean like.
Setting. Oh yeah, you can team. You can team. I just didn't want to subject you to that. Yeah, so I hate teams.
Can we get a feedback form? Because I'm not working on.
Yeah, I can work on a feedback form. Send me a note. Remind me. I'll generate a couple of questions. Yeah.
Are the organizations usually very receptive?
They have been. Dr. Miziano has done this kind of project often. Dr. Kelshaw works with a number of service learning groups. So they may have some ideas if this is not working well for you. But, yeah. Other?
Also, I saw in the syllabus there's a 6-page research group that we have to do on theory or theorists.
Yes.
When is that?
I think it's due the last class day.
Last class day?
Usually that's what I do. So, and that's not a big, huge paper.
Yeah.
But it's meant, again, to give you some focus that you looked at more